Hi there. Let's be honest, no one was really surprised by how easily Tony Stark tackled the whole space-time continuum problem in Avengers Endgame. The only person who seemed even a little impressed was Tony himself, and the answer to how did Tony build a time machine so fast is hilariously simple. Because he's Tony Stark, period. That's how geniuses roll. World-changing ideas come to some in their dreams and to others while doing the dishes. But what got me thinking is that the most popular fan theories about this, well, they don't quite hit the mark if you ask me. So let's break them down one by one, and I'll tell you how I see it. But first, let's clear something up. In Endgame, time travel comes with a lot of fancy terms like quantum mechanics, quantum tunnels, Pym particles, Planck length, and the Möbius strip. After reading some articles where physicists tried to unpack the science of the movie, I realized that some of these terms are based on real science, while others are pure Hollywood fiction. In one word, science fiction.
Exactly.
Alright, like I said, I'm no physicist, just a fan of sci-fi movies. So all my thoughts about the scientific stuff in the movie will come from the perspective of an average viewer and a casual movie lover. So if you're a pro when it comes to quantum physics, I'm asking in advance, please forgive my amateur take on it. Or, just write in the comments that the author's an idiot. I won't take it too personally. So, the first popular fan theory that tries to answer the question from the title of this video goes like this. Tony Stark didn't create the time machine. Hank Pym did, because the way to access the quantum realm, which is the main tool for time travel, is Pym's invention. But the problem with this theory is that it way overstates Pym's contribution and downplays Stark's work. It suggests that everything Tony did was just the tip of the iceberg. Something Pym could have done himself if he wanted to, but he didn't. Apparently for ethical reasons. And here's the big flaw. Hank Pym couldn't have created a working prototype of a time machine even if he tried really hard. From the very first Ant-Man movie, it's been clear that the quantum realm is a dimension where the concepts of space and time don't even exist. Messing around, so to speak, with this dimension is risky because it could seriously mess up our reality. And to change reality through the quantum realm, as it turns out, you need a navigation system to guide you through that chaos.
Do you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything?
In Endgame, we saw that traveling to the past works by pinpointing specific locations in the quantum realm. Basically, it's like a system of temporal tunnels. Sure, Hank Pym never aimed to alter reality or travel through time, but he had a different, much more urgent need to figure out how to navigate the quantum realm. Nearly 30 years ago, long before the events of Ant-Man, his wife got trapped in the quantum realm. Over time, Pym almost gave up hope of finding her because he had no idea how to locate her in all that chaos.
And the great Hank Pym hasn't figured that one out yet?
The situation only started moving forward when Pym's wife found a way to contact her family and share her coordinates. Pym particles allowed access to the quantum realm, but to Hank, it was just chaos and a complete mystery. To manipulate reality, they needed to figure out how to tame that chaos. That's why Cap and the team turned to Stark, and Tony built a working prototype of chrononavigation. If Pym had asked Stark for help, he could have found his wife in the quantum realm much sooner. But Pym considered Tony too unreliable and clearly underestimated his knack for quantum physics. Here's a simple way to explain their contributions. If Pym created a way to get into outer space, Stark built the navigation system to travel through it and find points for hyperspace jumps. Well, that's putting it as simply as possible. So without Tony Stark's ideas, Pym's quantum tunnel would have just been a gateway to a world full of chaos and the unknown, useful only for harvesting energy or taking tours of the tardigrade world. Now, if anyone could have built a working time machine alongside Stark, it would be Pym's wife, Janet. Who else would know the laws of the quantum realm better than a scientist who lived there for years and even figured out how to craft her own cosmetics and clothes? Another fan theory, which I find not entirely accurate, claims that the turning point for Stark's new ideas came from his conversation with Scott and the other Avengers. In this talk, Scott tells Tony about Pym's research and the possibility of accessing the quantum realm. As with the previous theory, this one is only partially true. If you rewatch that scene, you'll notice that Scott didn't exactly surprise Tony with his story. In fact, Tony already had answers to all of Scott's arguments. Here, take a listen for yourself.
I'm going to stop you right there, Scott. Are you seriously telling me that your plan to save the universe is based on Back to the Future? Is it? No. Good, you had me worried there, because that'd be horseshit. That's not how quantum physics works.
Tony, after everything you've seen, is anything really
Quantum
impossible?
fluctuation messes with the Planck scale, which then triggers the Deutsch proposition. Can we agree on that?
Tony didn't seem fazed when he heard that Hank Pym had the technology to access the quantum realm. Why? because this wasn't news to him. In the Ant-Man movies, we saw that shield, and its agents had been experimenting with quantum tunnels similar to the one Pym used in the second Ant-Man movie. Of course, those experiments failed miserably, as expected. Howard Stark, who was leading S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time and worked closely with Pym, knew full well that without the technologies Pym kept so well hidden, specifically Pym particles, those experiments were pointless. And if Howard Stark knew that, then so did Tony. After all, Tony is Howard's greatest creation. Well, as Howard himself once said,
"My greatest creation is you."
And as they say, it's only fitting to pass down all your knowledge to your greatest creation, so they can refine it and bring it to life, like the arc reactor or the discovery of a new element. Here's another interesting detail. During his conversation with Scott, Tony doesn't deny the possibility of traveling to the past. In fact, he even says it's better to stay away from it to avoid creating an even bigger mess.
The stones are in the past. We could go back, we could get them.
We can snap our own fingers. We can bring everybody back.
Or screw it up worse than he already has, right?
And this says only one thing. Even before testing the Möbius strip, Tony already had a solid grasp of the theoretical side of traveling to the past through the quantum realm. That's why Scott's revelations didn't surprise him at all, except for one thing. Yes, there was one part of Scott's story that Tony initially didn't believe. It was the idea that Pym particles could not only send someone into the quantum realm, but also bring them back. After all, Tony even called Scott's return from the quantum realm a fluke.
In layman's terms, it means you're not coming home.
I did.
No, you accidentally survived. It's a 1,000,000,000 cosmic fluke.
But the truth is, Scott and his team had already pulled off this trick multiple times. That was the missing piece of the puzzle needed to create a full-fledged time machine. As we learned from the movie, any changes to the past won't affect the future. That's why it was so crucial for Tony to figure out how to return to the exact point where his journey began. On a quiet evening at home, Tony wasn't inventing a way to travel to the past. He was breaking his head over how to get back to his conditional present. In his final modeling of the quantum jump, Tony used a three-dimensional object, the Möbius strip.
This time in the shape of a Möbius strip, inverted, please.
The Möbius strip is one of the simplest yet strangest objects. Its entire trick lies in the fact that it has only one side. If you ever feel the urge to make a Möbius strip out of paper, all you need is a long strip of paper. Twist one end, then tape the ends together to form a loop. Now try this. Take a pencil and start drawing a continuous line along the Möbius strip without lifting it. Start anywhere you like, and voila! You'll end up right back where you started. That's exactly what Tony Stark does with the Möbius strip concept. He uses it to ensure he can return to the same point where his quantum journey begins. Now, the question remains, how did Tony know about quantum time travel theory? Well, that's easy. The same way he knew how to build the world's first mini-arc reactor or the first fully functional artificial intelligence. Partly because he inherited knowledge from his father, like the early quantum tunnel research conducted by S.H.I.E.L.D., and partly because, well, he's Tony Stark. Oh, and of course, let's not forget the legendary notes from Dr. Selvig's work on extraction theory.
Am I the only one who did the reading?
Even to me, just a regular guy, it's clear that nuclear physics, probably Tony Stark's main specialty, is closely tied to quantum mechanics. Of course, I didn't figure this out myself, I read it somewhere. The truth is, building a time machine was technically easy for Tony Stark, but from a psychological and moral perspective, it was a whole different story. When Tony developed a new, safe element for his reactor, it was a true challenge for his intellect. He literally pushed himself to a new level of understanding in quantum mechanics. But with the time machine, it was different. The real challenge wasn't scientific obstacles. It was overcoming his own desire to leave everything as it was and hold on to the peaceful life he'd built with his family.
I got my second chance right here, Cap. Yeah, roll the dice on it.
When Tony told Pepper he'd figured out time travel, her reaction made it clear. She wasn't surprised at all. She knew it was inevitable. She understood that sooner or later, their cozy family life by the lake would come to an end. But as a loving wife, she realized that Tony couldn't live his life constantly looking back and burdened by an unshakable sense of guilt.
I just want peace. Turns out resentment is corrosive, and I hate it.
Me too.
Here's a little side note. Tony Stark could have built his first time machine back during the events of the first Avengers. Even back then, we heard terms like clone barrier and quantum tunnel effect, and he could have built it using the Tesseract. Yep, the Tesseract space stone, not the time stone. Here's what I mean. Take Interstellar, for example, a movie that's often labeled the most scientifically accurate sci-fi film, though that opinion does get people riled up, but never mind. In the vastness of the galaxy, the characters in that movie found a planet where time flows much slower than on Earth. 1 hour there equals several years here. Sound familiar? Scott Lang spent 5 hours in the quantum realm while 5 years passed outside. And Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar ended up in a dimension where all possible timelines intersect at a single point. That's pretty close to the properties of the quantum realm in Avengers. Of course, McConaughey needed a black hole to get there. And what could be better for finding black holes and instantly jumping to them than the space stone, the Tesseract? Even Einstein discovered that space can curve and affect matter, and he didn't rule out time travel either. You just have to hit the speed of light. If the time stone runs time through a subject, the Tesseract could help find points in space that allow you to pass through time. With Dr. Selvig by his side, Tony would have definitely figured something out. But they didn't let the team study the Tesseract, and the development of time travel went down a completely different path, through the quantum realm. Sure, you could argue that the quantum realm is its own kind of universe, a cosmos, just like the one we know. But from a cinematic perspective, they're two different things. And, let's face it, the quantum realm hasn't been overused just yet. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Share this video with your friends. See you next time.